Good evening. I'm John Sizer from South African Beer, and tonight we are going to talk rugby in the USA. Our guest, Steve from Kilimanjaro Creations, was a hit in our last show, so we've invited him back. Garth, Duff-Gray, passionate about rugby in Boca, and Clive Buerter, formerly involved in rugby coaching up in Illinois, and he's also a retailer with wine. We will be having a separate segment with him discussing his new concept of economical wines by the case out of a warehouse, but that's for another day. So the principle behind today, each guy will just introduce himself, just going to talk rugby, answer any questions, and hopefully no one will kill each other, because invariably someone's always got an opinion about who's a better team, a better player. Steve, if you just give a little bit about himself.
Steve, the Safari Bladesmith. Hope everyone's doing alright over there. Looking forward to seeing what's in front of us and tasting out some of the new products that John's got, and listening to what has to be said about rugby in the US. Living here for roughly around about 8 to 9 years now, started to see a big influx of the rugby culture coming into the US, which is always great to see, knowing that I'm a diehard rugby fan. And I'd pay roughly $60 to watch just one game. So I leave it up to you guys.
Okay, my name is Garth, Duff-Gray, just to mention that again. I am involved in rugby in South Florida in particular, which also translates to all of Florida in that regard. I'm the president of the Boca Raton Junior Bucks Rugby Club, and we are affiliated with the Boca Raton Rugby Club and Florida's Rugby Union. To that end, the men's club has about 50 participant players. The junior bucks, for the youth, we have just over 100 registrations this past season. We compete in Florida, where we have about 18 clubs that we play against throughout the rugby season, which runs from about September with practicing and warm-ups through the end of April, which is where we go through finals and playoffs and eventually the state championships. Rugby has come a long way. I was one of the founding members of the Junior Buccaneers, which is introducing youth rugby to South Florida, Florida as a whole at that point. And in the time since 2012, when we founded the club, we have seen it grow tremendously with clubs as far west, of course, as Tampa and Naples, and up in Orlando, up and down the coast from Cocoa Beach to Jupiter, Wellington, Biscayne Bay, Miami, Weston, Boca Raton, and Fort Lauderdale. So we have a lot of action going on, and it is very exciting. Look forward to seeing what John and his product line, together with Steve's product line, how this will end up. Clive, sorry for that long introduction.
Not a problem.
I'm Clive Boca, and I've been in the United States since 1992. I lived in Chicago and was a rugby coach for Lincoln Park for about 4 years. Then I moved to Naperville and coached the Northern Illinois college team for 2 years. I'm also a certified referee. Haven't done that for a long time.
I'm not kidding. I mean,
rugby is growing phenomenally in the US, and I know just from friends in the Midwest that that's the fastest growing school sport out there right now. And I've always said to these people, if they can get their second string football players to become rugby players, it'll be the best team in the world by far, because they have the athletes here. They have numerous athletes here. And the college rugby is doing really, really well. Sevens is doing well. So I think there's a future for rugby, and I'm proud of this guy next to me that he's putting so much effort into it, and I'm going to help him.
Thank you, Clive.
just going to switch back into tasting. As we go along, the selection is the Castle and Windhoek is Garth's personal collection. As you know, we are out of stock because of the lockdown in South Africa, so we're not getting new stock until the end of July, and he's not sharing his stock. But we bring in the regular South African beers and South African ciders, So they will not be participating tonight, and I'll move them out of the way. No. It's his private collection. You negotiate with him.
I'll start with my stash.
And then the other thing that we want to try to do, we've got our Ukrainian vodka, and Garth's involved in a Russian vodka, Russian size, and I don't know what it's meant to be. It's just because you drink more, nothing else intended. But we're just curious to get the feedback as to what the difference is, considering that they're both from that end of the world. We haven't done wine because I'm yet to see many rugby players drink wine at a rugby match.
What are you talking about? The whole of Western Province is rugby and growing.
And they sit there in the stands having wine.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, you're insulting a lot of people now.
Well, I've never seen anyone squirt wine into a nachi or into an orange. Okay, I've seen them do. Buffelsfontein were showing their latest product, and they're helping you put it into an orange. So when you attend the next rugby match, you can take your orange with you.
I don't think it was intended for rugby.
It's intended for anything.
Well, my good old friend MPs will be very upset with you because, you know.
Anyway, so as they talk and just address certain things and try, the whole thing is just to make it lighthearted and share ideas and thoughts about it. Amazingly, they were talking more off camera than on camera, so we kind of lost most of the momentum.
Because you talk so much.
That's very accurate.
I'm sorry.
Stopping. Yeah, I'm dying for a drink.
Okay, so what is it? Can we do that? Or you want to wait for Rafi to do
Yeah,
that?
let's wait for Rafi.
Okay, because we've got another guest joining us, and we just want to try to compare the two vodkas. We have many other wines, but it's really going to be sort of a brandy rum, if you guys want to try some Zulu rum.
Sure.
The wines that we're going to do is Louis Oosthuizen's wines, given that it's a bit not exactly in the same sport arena, but it is a sporting conversation, so we're going to try some of Louis' wines. So I think we'll kick off with some red wine. No white wines tonight to taste. You happy?
Happy?
Ecstatic.
Okay. Gisoma from Louis is a blend, and it is Cabernet, Cab Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cab Franc, Merlot, and it used to have a bit of Pique Verdot in the back end of it.
Okay, where is it from in the Cape Province?
It's Paul, but what we found out is people just want to drink.
Yeah.
Interesting colour for a red.
I'm actually very impressed with this wine. We've been doing it for a while, and it's a high-end wine. It's a very high-quality wine, in my opinion. It goes with or without food, and I think Louis done a good job on this wine. So let's go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good to be here.
Yes, welcome again.
What a lot of people get the wrong impression is that all these sports people, and by the way, I don't know any rugby guy who owns a wine farm, so if you want to really mix it, can you name a few?
Empties the toy.
Does he still own the wine farm?
Mm-hmm.
What wine does he endorse?
He used to be with, I'm trying to think now, but he's got his own wine farm.
Let's not spit it out.
No, yeah.
We didn't.
I used to import empties as wine, but he didn't at that point in time. It was he has a smaller wine farm, but I mean, he's a rugby legend, number one. And there's a couple of others. I just have to think. You caught me off guard. I should have done my research.
A lot of them in the hunting game.
Yeah.
All hunting farms.
No, you know the funny part, or the part is now most people have a winery do the wine for them, and they just endorse the wine. So if you look at any of these big golfers, nobody really, or there's very few people who really still are involved in the production of the wine. It's just an endorsement.
Yeah.
And obviously they're involved in the process and the tasting, etc. But it's not them physically coming off the back of their wine farm.
Only had a wine farm, but I think he sold the major share.
Yeah, I guess it's not sustainable unless you dedicate it to something like that.
So, but this wine, like I said, on the front end, you can taste a lot of currant and
Berries.
a lot of berries, yeah. There's also a little bit of what I sometimes call a barnyard taste to it, which is makes it a little deeper.
Yes.
You enjoyed it, David? This is
You know, you want us to talk rugby, then we'll have to try some more.
This is going to be a long discussion.
So, who's your favorite team in South Africa?
I'm a Free Stater.
Hey!
For Welkom. So,
I'm from Wisselsbron.
Jesus. Really? Oh, God, I've never met an American from Wisselsbron.
No, I don't think there is
Wow.
any. Yes.
Something.
Yeah. What year did you matriculate?
73.
Oh, okay, so you're a little later than me. Because I played the Northern Free State Craven Week
Okay.
in Uppington in 1977.
Craven Week, when I was in high school, Craven Week was like the biggest sports festival that Johannesburg had. Estate Stadiums, Craven Week was always packed, always busy.
Is he trying to give our ages away?
I'm getting a little sensitive here, but it's Wisselsbron.
To welcome in here. I don't know. I don't think they even called that those names anymore.
Okay, I'll throw one into the arena. My mother was born in Tennessee.
Oh,
Yeah, sure, that's our part of the world as well.
yeah, that's right. We used to play them at school. We used to play. Did you go to Grootveld or which?
No, I went to school in Grahamstown.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I remember Grootveld.
Yeah, Grootveld.
Tough guys.
Yeah,
Tough rugby guys.
those mining boys were. Yeah.
They used to walk to school with no shoes.
Yeah.
Just uphill both ways in the gravel.
A staff member back in South Africa in our one business's son, they played rugby, no boots. Colfoot.
Well,
Barefoot.
As kids, we did.
as kids you do.
He's early teens, you know, sort of, and they went to play in England. So they went on tour in England and they did very, very well. Barefoot. Kind of set back and think the guys would actually, you know, at least have a pair of boots on, especially in that mud in the
You know,
UK.
in primary school, they still play.
Primary was always barefoot for us. And then I remember later on when I was playing first team rugby in high school, we played at a low privileged school out of Soweto called Jabulani. And they came on and there were 3 pairs of boots between 15 players of their team, and they were sharing boots. And at the end of that game, our whole entire squad gave them our boots, our socks, and all of that stuff. It was one of the most memorable sporting occasions.
Wow, good story. Good story.
Just by the way, the knives here in front is what Steve does.
I did have a Springbok knife, but unfortunately somebody, I think you do know Sean DeBet.
No, I don't.
Okay, so he plays for one of the Fort Lauderdale
okay.
squad. And unfortunately he's up in Chicago. He was going to try and join us, but he's up in Chicago at the moment.
He's the fellow that's tattooed his team on his arm.
Okay.
Now
you
that's
told me about
dedication.
that.
Yeah, that's dedication.
Every time you phone me, where are you? I'm at rugby. I'm at training.
It sucks a lot of oxygen out of your life. It's just, it's so
The same.
it's exciting and it's wonderful. The group, the people we mix with. We have a lot of expats, especially in South Florida. We have a lot of Argentinians, we have a lot of Puma fans. There are a lot of South Africans.
Yeah, we forget about the South Americans that play rugby.
Yeah, a very, very large community of them in deep South Florida. Okay? We have a lot of Brits, a lot of French. So I can tell you, if you go to any general youth game, including some of the adult games, but the youth games in particular, you seldom hear pure English only. You'll hear French kids, you'll hear obviously Spanish kids speaking, you'll hear Brits speaking, God knows what they're talking. And of course South Africans, you'll hear Afrikaans. Yeah. And the cool thing about being involved with South Africans on the team is when we are talking strategy from the sideline, like asking a kid, do a cross kick or skop no, maklip daai kant toe. There's a lot of stuff that we can work with language that most American kids obviously have no clue about.
Yeah.
Flat on fluffy.
Skop op, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really a great community. And first of all, I do appreciate the opportunity to help showcase the fact that we have a thriving rugby community here in Florida, of course in the States as well. And I hope that for the South Africans that watch this, I hope they'll consider getting their kids to come out because it is the greatest game. It certainly is.
Yep. By far.
As they say in an advert from the sponsor, so we read the advert. Louis' wines are currently on special. If you go up to Clive's warehouse, if you're in South Florida, otherwise online, he is, it's normally a $35 price point on the wine, very high end, both his Syrah and his Giacomo. Currently down to $25 on retail, so it is a saving. An excellent wine.
Very good. Very
This is
good.
brilliant
Yeah.
wine.
Great.
Yeah, and those exceptionally well as they can.
I'm going to leave it there
And some good
for
ones.
fear of that you can finish it or not.
No, we can go on to the next one.
Okay.
So back to the platform of sports in the US.
Yeah.
Now, sporting in the US is one of the biggest money spills, and it's all about broadcasting. Rugby kind of fits that mold for that model that they follow here. That's why Sevens is so popular, because it's easily broadcasted to mass amounts of people.
Right.
People
And
spectators.
it's, yeah,
And
the,
that's
problem, the problem with rugby though is that it's not like football, which is intermittent, stop go, stop go. So from an advertising standpoint, obviously that is a concern to a market like the States that is used to interruption.
Yeah. Having a game with 90 minutes on
Yeah.
each side is not television worthy.
No, I mean, and certainly you can't compare it to soccer, that other miserable game that's played.
Now we're going to argue with
So, with all due respect to that game, but it's hopefully we will see more traction with rugby in this country. But it's huge to the point that Clyde made earlier. It's certainly the fastest growing sport. That's what we've heard. It's more than just hearsay. And certainly we see the way we attract people. It's no different to the men's clubs, which is that they tend to draw a lot of kids out of the colleges because the college gets played. They like the whole party thing, and rugby isn't the old. In this country, they had a bad reputation many, many years ago about this being a bunch of drunken louts, always just partying and singing and just being, generally
Kind of like the
crazy.
artist,
Crazy. Yeah. But I mean, to that end, it's kind of tapped down. They've tightened up on that. There's still a lot of fun involved. There are a lot of parties involved. The very typical social aspect of rugby is practiced very thoroughly. Okay. But without the craziness that I remember when I first came to this country, where it was really out of control. And it was about people trying to be as tough and as crazy as possible, as drunk as possible. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And God knows how many brain cells were destroyed in the process back then. But it's much better now, in the sense that there's more of a rugby ethos with people that really care about the sport. So I think it's a great inflection point.
Yeah.
So,
If you look back at the history of when rugby was founded as a sport, I mean, we're talking way back close in the 1600s, somewhere around there, maybe even further back in the UK or the British Isles. But coming to the US, it must have come with it.
That's where
They
football is
must
from.
have- Yeah, they must have.
Yeah.
No, that's why it's called a touchdown.
Okay.
Yeah, because the ball had to be touched down.
Touchdown.
So,
Okay,
Yeah.
now, before you go on, explain
Yes.
how you druk a 3 and get 5 points.
it's just escalated over the years to make it more.
I know too, but for
devaluation.
inflation.
Yeah. No, but like when I was coaching Northern Illinois, the college, the first thing I had to do was bring discipline into the game because there was no discipline. I mean, people showed up for practice when they wanted to. They had this party atmosphere that it's going to just be a party time all the time. Okay. So now the coaches have come down, started.
We haven't gone into the Buccaneers, so we'll be waiting for you.
Talking away.
I don't drink much anymore.
Okay, there.
Okay.
Pour me the Shiraz.
I'll get you some clean glasses.
Okay,
No, it's fine.
are we on?
Yeah.
Louis Syrah, an incredible wine. We did a wine tasting at a wine tasting room down in Florida. It got such great traction. So let me know. I know you're the little sloppy fella. You've got the slip slops on. And I'm not going to waste my time, so I'm just going to pour more.
Yeah, please.
Because
I'm not writing, so I'm good.
Yeah. You're South African, not French.
It's a tasting.
Yes.
Swirl and spit.
We have big mouths.
So wear your mask when you're driving, the cops don't come to the window.
Yeah.
I always wondered why people drive and wear masks because, like, you're alone in the car, who are you going to infect?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's fun.
I mean, if you can actually smell the pepper on this.
It's a brilliant wine. This really, really good wine. And at its current price offering is incredible.
I've got pieces of the
You smell the pepper?
Mount Arrow, which I want to start using.
And you can taste the pepper too. It goes excellent with any spicy food. Indian curry and all, you know.
Good
So
taste.
what is
in
this
a
one?
Royal Palm.
It's a straight Shiraz.
Shiraz as well.
Okay.
But it's sort of, a lot of Shirazes, everyone raves about Australian Shirazes. The correct word is Syrah, if it's a decent wine. But a lot of guys rave about Australian Shirazes. This one lends itself to more like a French or Rhone district type Shiraz.
Lighter.
So yeah, we've not had much, I wouldn't say we haven't had much success, but Shirazes are difficult to sell.
Not for me.
Yeah, because you've got a different market.
Yeah, I'm a different market, and one day I'll educate you on Shirazes because it's a long story. But South Africa makes some of the best Shiraz in the world, and I've tasted a lot of Shiraz, and we are at the top end on the Shiraz market from a price perspective to the quality. So yeah, this is a great Shiraz, nice and peppery, great with spicy food.
I can see you.
Interesting. No, because you learn so much from hearing somebody that's involved in this, and he tastes this all the time. He knows what he's looking for in the palate.
Yeah.
And once you start pointing those little things out,
And
you
subtleties,
start
yeah.
opening them up in yourself.
And swirl it for a little bit in your mouth, so that all your
I
taste
like
buds
the
get
aroma of wine. I love the
But
first
this is
smell
quite a
you
good
get.
aroma, right?
But the big thing about wine is really pairing.
Yes.
So if you're into it, if you're dealing with a chef, we've got a Chenin Blanc from Talentin Terroir, from Bourland. And you were talking about curry. For whatever reason, it just seems to accentuate it, increases that bite into you. So the minute you have curry with it, it just somehow makes that curry a little more spicy, a little hotter, albeit that it's just a regular drinking wine. But for whatever reason, the way they produced and prepared that wine is just incredible for curry.
No, sure. But this is a great everyday drinking wine too. There's nothing wrong with it. You can drink it. You don't have to pair it with food, but it will definitely enhance the food, and the food will enhance the wine. For sure. Yep.
Okay, good. You're not into serious rugby drinking yet, are you?
Now we're getting there.
We're always ready, John. We're always ready.
Anyway, before the phone rang and kind of put us off guard there at the moment, you were saying, what's Clive? He's now trying to figure out what was I saying.
You know what? I've not many brain cells left, so
So with like the current events that have gone on and everything, what's the current standing of rugby, not just in the US but worldwide?
Well, I want to add to that question. Why is it not getting the traction other than Sevens? Sevens has got a decent following on rugby in this country.
Again, I think it's
money.
It's always about money.
Yeah.
Right. So, which I'm very happy that you brought that up because I'm looking forward to your sponsorships of our rugby club, by the way. And the rentals of this very fine rugby facility that you're at today. But nevertheless, the key point is that sevens are a very short attention span type game, right? And to a degree, it emulates American football in the sense that you have very short little periods of intense activity. So, this is my opinion, I don't think it's broadly held, but nevertheless, the sevens are pretty quick. It's a lot of action. There's enough, banging around that gets people's American interests into it.
Exactly.
But a longer game, I don't, my preference is always the full 15-side rugby. I just prefer that.
Yeah,
I like
prefer
it.
it too, for sure.
And sevens I appreciate for what it is. But I think that we are challenged again because of the time frames involved with rugby. Okay. The interesting thing is that you look at baseball, which is some other game that people actually call a sport, which I find rather strange.
You're really
But
opening yourself up, yeah.
I'm really making a lot of fans here today. But nevertheless, okay. When you look at the average football game goes for about 3 hours. A baseball game goes for at least 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus.
So the thing that I find is a paradox is you have a rugby game, it's 90 minutes. why can that, and it's intense activity, it's intense action, so there's a paradox in play that I don't understand. But I think as well it's been a case of lack of visibility. I don't think there's been enough publications of what rugby is. There's not enough push for it in with the common guy out in the States.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, guys my age, you speak to them, they always ask me, you play rugby? I'm like, yeah, of course. They're crazy, no pads, no nothing.
Yeah, there's this whole macho thing about it, which is
you guys probably get way more hurt doing what you're doing in those pads anyway.
True.
Well, the statistics point that out, that there's more football injuries because people feel they're secure than that what there is in rugby. And there's more people playing rugby than football.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also the way we were taught. We were taught to tackle in certain positions.
That's a very interesting point. So with youth rugby, okay, why it's getting a lot of momentum now, is that we get a lot of kids that come out of Pop Warner and other recreational football leagues, tackle football leagues. And to that end, because of the visibility of people like the Seahawks guy that was a rugby player, the New England guy who was a rugby player, we have kids now coming over from football, expressly promoted by their coaches to come and learn how to tackle. Okay? And the key thing is, to your point that you made, is that from a concussion standpoint, we have fewer concussions. We have fewer catastrophic injuries. Please God that it always continues that way. But it's purely about how you treat and teach people how to tackle. And in football, you're clad in armor, so you think you're impervious to any kind of injury. So people go over the top. They're doing spearing, they're doing all kinds of stupid stuff. Whereas in rugby, you're only as tough, you can only go as hard as tough as you feel you can handle, right? And again, we see a lot of there's a lot of training involved, and from a refereeing standpoint, it gets really difficult at times because you have a lot of footballers that are on the field. They're doing chop tackles, they're doing chop blocks, they're doing high tackles around the face. And it's just the way they used to, because they're used to having armor all over them, right? But this interesting thing is, in every single case that we've had kids come over, and I'm talking kids from under 10 all the way to U19, okay? They are ecstatic and they love this game of rugby. It is amazing to see the conversions that we see. They become radical. They end up going to university playing rugby.
Now, would rugby ever hold the sphere of influence in the college arena with college schools?
No, because rugby doesn't have the dollar draw. Don't forget, there are billions of dollars getting thrown around for American football. Colleges, they get more money out of football programs with TV rights and all the rest of that than what they get from any kind of grants or from dues and fees that they charge students. So
the alumni in the football college game is so massive. You go to these college games, there's 110,000 people in the stands.
More fans in the college games than there are in the NFL.
And I mean, you've got tailgating, people that tailgate for 3-4 days before a game, I mean, I see my wife went to Alabama, I see all the paperwork that she gets, and she's not even interested in football, but and all the stuff they sell, and blah, 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 blah. So
it's a huge industry.
But the one thing that I have to say is that colleges are now starting to give scholarships for rugby. My son got a scholarship at Norwich University to play rugby. He didn't follow up, he went to the Marines instead, but we went there for the interview and blah, 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 and he got a scholarship to go play at a very, 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 very expensive college, rugby, and they were second tier, they weren't, they call me a second or first tier. Yeah.
It depends.
I mean, Cal State has got a phenomenal rugby team.
Oh yeah, they do.
Would you think rugby union would influence the American rugby?
But it is rugby union.
Well, is it rugby union?
Yeah, that's right. It's not rugby league, it's rugby union.
Yeah, it's rugby union.
I'm going to throw a question or two because I'm getting questions thrown in here to me. Rugby at school level. I mean, is it a thing? Are they, you know, because they're always scouting for people and hunting, or is that just not a thing in the US?
No, it is. I mean, we've seen from when we initiated and started the club back in 2012, there were no youth programs in place, so it was really difficult to get that momentum going. But there were a few junior schools here in Boca Raton that were agreeable to doing touch rugby. Now, you know, it's not rugby, but it's a start, right? It starts showing the fluidity of the game and the continuity and all the rest of that stuff. The reason is in schools as well, you're up against that whole industry, which is American football, right? It's the football program in most schools that have a very good athletic program. It's either baseball or football. Of course, there's volleyball and stuff like that as well. But it's all about that whole pipeline. And it's an industry, a pipeline of football kids that come out of junior school, they get recruited into high schools from, you know, they may not even be in the local high school, they'll come from 50 miles away and get recruited into like magnet football programs. And then from there, of course, it goes into college, and from there, a few may make it out to the pros. There are a few schools that are opening to actual rugby. But again, it's a fully competitive problem that we have with the football programs. We've had issues with some of the football coaches not wanting their kids to play rugby for whatever reason. Yet whenever we have had kids that defy their coaches and do come play rugby, we end up getting a lot of support from the local football coach community. So it's really a good thing. And both, look, football is what it is. You can argue the points whether it's good, better or worse, doesn't matter. It's there, and we try to be symbiotic with them. So we trade players with them, and we encourage our players to, you know, to come from their programs.
I mean, I haven't been home for a while, but I remember always seeing some football team was down training with the Stormers in the Cape and the Sharks in the Towel.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
There is a big crossover in recent years.
There has been. You're right.
The one thing that I would say about schools is that once you get a football player to become and play rugby, he becomes a better football player because he's learning more skills now. Where in football he has one skill, one dedicated job to do. Where in rugby he now has to come and think for himself, you know, because it's a fluid game. You can carry the ball, you can tackle, you can do everything.
A lot can be a fullback. That's the best part about it.
So when I was coaching, when I was coaching Jupiter High, the football coach there encouraged the football players to come and play rugby, and a few of them came over, and I mean they were incredible athletes.
I mean, there's nice Boca came over here.
Well, that's one of the questions that I want to rain off parade. They want to say, the question is, why do you think he blew out so badly? Because by anyone's account, he didn't kind of succeed playing football, transitioning from rugby.
I mean, field time did he have?
I remember that he was into the kicking thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure he went much beyond that.
Yeah, all he did was kicking. He was the kicker,
Yeah.
But it was a short-lived experience by all accounts.
Yeah,
And he was a phenomenal kicker.
yeah.
Sometimes too
Best in the world.
phenomenal for the game of rugby, right?
Yeah.
Because all he would do was kick away. But nevertheless, that I do remember about Nas, you know. Obviously extremely impressive. But
I watched the game the other day between Transvaal and Scotland.
That's an old game.
Yeah,
Transvaal.
Transvaal and Scotland, and Gerald Bosch was the fly half, and what was it? I forgot. Bayful was the scrum half, and that's another guy that could kick. Gerald Bosch. I mean, he won every single point in that game was from him. Just something off the cuff.
yeah.
Okay.
And he won. They beat the Scottish.
I'm going to throw odd little questions in between. They were debating the heat in Florida in rugby because it's more a winter game in the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's for the truly motivated to play rugby in this state, and it doesn't matter winter or summer. We start training. We sometimes run sevens programs during the summer, beach rugby, stuff like that, including sevens. But it is incredibly hot. There's no doubt about it. And even though our season stretches from training again starting in September, we go through December, and then we hit the season, the regular competitive season in January through April. Even at night, it is very hot. Okay, so you're out in the field, it's running 80, 85, sometimes 90 degrees. So the basic safety things are always in play, which means a lot of hydration, making sure that kids have been fed and that they are, they have suitable nutrition and the rest of that coming to practice, and especially coming to games. So one of the standard things you always see us broadcasting and recommending is the amount of hydration that occurs before games, certainly before practices, nutrition, and all the rest of that. To the end on how does it affect the game, okay, we are mandated that certainly on very hot days, in fact most days, we'll do, depending on if you're running a 30-minute half or a total of 60 minutes, depending on the youth age group, but there are always water breaks, between, if you play a normal 30-minute half or a 35-minute half, you'll do a water break at 15 or 20 minutes. So there's always at least 3 water sessions through the course of an entire game. Half time, quarter time, 3/4 time, okay? And again, it's hard. It is really tough on these kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw you the next curveball. Sorry, I'm just, as the question's coming, I want to try and address
No, big deal. You're answering it fantastically.
The other question is, if you just think about this, I'm going to try and unravel it on behalf, because the question is quite direct, so I'm trying to just make it make sense. If you think about it, football tries to solicit rugby players. Does the rugby community try to solicit international players here in the USA?
Oh, yes.
For rugby, not for football.
Yes.
Go ahead and
I'm sorry. Yeah. So the top-notch colleges, if you look at their kids playing for them, there's a lot of New Zealanders, a lot of Australians, some South Africans. I think they're limited to 4 per team, right?
Yeah, you can't have too many internationals
Yeah.
playing
So-
on any
so-
league game,
Yeah.
league club.
So a friend of mine, her son played for Paul Boys Eye, and he was recruited by the US to come play college rugby.
Like a scholarship?
Yeah.
That was the next question.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Yeah,
scholarships
but
for guys to come on.
the Sharks zapped him away, so he's going to play next year for the Sharks.
So he's gone back to SA.
No, he was at Paul's Boys Eye. He's a matriculant now. He's in, and a school in Massachusetts. I think it was Boston College offered him a
Yeah,
scholarship.
they're big rugby.
Yeah, and
Because I know my kids went to Lynn University and they had scouts that would fly all over the world for your favourite second game, soccer. And they were just and they
Some people
literally,
call it a sport.
I think that
I mean, we have more dramatic injuries than rugby does that.
God, look at this.
My dad used to say
I punched you, I missed.
My dad
You know,
used to
now
say
the
that.
only game that I think is similar to rugby in America is ice hockey.
Yeah.
I mean that's my son played ice hockey, and in the off season he played rugby in Canada, and that's how he got scouted to go to Norwich. So yeah, I mean, and the skill set is kind of similar. You have to think on your feet all the time. So.
It's the same mentality as well. I think.
And so in Canada, all the hockey players in the off season plays rugby because they fitness, their thinking, their cognizance, everything is improved. So yeah.
So just to talk about scholarships and bursaries and the like, from our club perspective, we've had kids recruited, and we've had a number of kids that were offered $38,000 per year for 4 years. That is huge.
That's
These
massive.
were private colleges, they were religious colleges, Catholic schools, stuff like that. Doesn't matter. But the point is that these scholarships are out there, and we do get recruited. All the clubs down in Florida are recruited all the time, and we have. I prefer not to mention the schools that are, to highlight which they are, but I can tell you there are at least 5 or 10 schools. It's at least 10 schools, countrywide, that come to Florida in particular. No different than football, because we grow great football players in the state, and we have a great rugby program in the state. And there are some very lucrative scholarships that are presented and offered to our kids. It's real money. It's really a good story.
Okay, I'm getting thirsty on the end. Yeah. So.
Yeah,
No. Now you're going into
It's
branding.
meant to be a drinking show,
My
not a talk show.
grandfather always used to say to me, he used to come and watch every rugby game I played from primary school up to high school. And he always used to say, my boy, soccer is a game, it's a game, a gentleman's game played by hooligans. And rugby is a hooligans game played by gentlemen.
That's right.
Truly.
Question.
Are we going into brandy?
Yeah, let's get it ready. Since we're really getting into rugby now.
Okay.
Let's get some fiery stuff.
Needs no introduction. Clip drift. Clippies and Coke. It's like a tradition.
Mother's
Oh, you said you're not driving, so I'm driving you.
Okay.
Anyone
we
with
obey
age?
the law. This is a very legitimate program that you run. We would never do anything illegal. No DUI stuff.
I'm driving, so I'll abstain.
I'm glad you're not drinking.
Well, we'll abstain. I don't want to break your glass.
So while you
Anyone want age?
while you're working the mechanics, satisfying your guests, your very auspicious guests, from a rugby standpoint, you asked a question about do we recruit overseas. I think there are very few clubs that can actually afford to send scouts overseas to try and recruit players here. There's been an interesting thing evolving over the past 2 to 3 years, which is Major League Rugby. So professional rugby in this country is really starting to take off, and it's big. And this year, the expansion has really occurred. There's even talk of a Miami team. There are teams in the Colorado, Seattle, New York, of course, LA. So professional rugby has really come to this country, and it is taking off in a big way. To that end, we get approached.
I'm going to pass it down to you.
The adult.
We're not advertising Coke.
That's all right. The adult clubs, for example, we get approached by people all the time. So I'll tell you that I get at least 5 or 10. Go ahead, Clive.
You know what's up?
5. Yeah,
No, Clive doesn't want the brandy, he wants
He's a
more
gentleman.
wine.
My vessel's gone friend.
That's right.
Please.
Very few people
I don't want to get moved by someone from Vessel Bron.
So not very few many people know it. Let's walk away with some running.
There's some ice in that bucket over there. If you.
Oh, put wine.
Stay out of
That
that
was
whole
sore.
Free State. My dad's father got off the boat from Lithuania. He was sent to Bethlehem. He
Sure.
set up the old Bethlehem Hotel, which is still standing there today.
Fantastic.
That's interesting, yeah.
So in any case, so we get a lot of requests from South Africans
Okay.
saying, "Hey, we'd love
I'll
to
be
come and play
the
with you."
server for the day. My mask.
Please.
Anyone for ice?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll have some ice.
Okay, well, you know, help yourself. Really, this is not a like a paid vacation.
Yeah, you should. I'll give it.
Thanks for saving that.
I must just tell you, this is South Africans. You,
Yeah, that's
you
fine.
take the ice with your hand, etc. Try to just have a taste of it when Americans are present.
I'll throw you on the place.
Well, we had sanitized, we had clean.
I had
totally
stuff
professional.
dripping off the bottle, and you do this, you go lick it, and they, no thanks. I want that bottle again. I mean, it's your hand.
Well,
Yeah.
cheers.
Cheers.
You can go.
Now we're really getting
I'm trying to help, huh?
I cannot remember when last I had a cookies.
Well, I'm driving, so I'm not going to have a clippies.
So when we go back, I go back twice a year because I've got to get all the
Good
supplies
stuff. It's
that I
always
need.
good stuff, yeah.
Now, he's too cheap to buy from us, yeah?
Well, no, I usually buy at the duty free that big bottle. And it's the cheapest thing in the duty free shop in Alabama, yeah.
He's
The
not
large
making
bottle-
enough money on his knives. Sorry, guys.
No, well, when you walk through that duty free shop, your mind will be blown at what they're charging for a bottle of Captain Morgan Dark Round for 350 rand. I mean, it's mind blowing. But they do the giant bottle of Clipper for 157 rand. I always buy 2. Try it out.
Yeah.
I know what it costs to buy it at, from XSA, and 157 is a bargain, believe me.
So especially they're trying, well, it doesn't even last
very
2
good.
days
Yeah,
after.
that's because they're so heavily taxed in South Africa. That's the reason.
Yeah, this whole thing going on now with the booze ban, and I mean, the guys must be screaming.
Yeah, well,
That
I won't even get into that kind of. We were talking rugby tonight, and wine and alcohol.
that guy,
That's a strange combination.
he loves our Zulu rum. I don't know if you, are you a rum fan?
Yeah.
Have you tried the Zulu rum yet?
It's so good.
I prefer not to use the word fanatic because that associated with alcohol ends up with alcoholism. But yeah, I love rum.
I'm going to get you some rum. I'm going to ask my able assistant to
Yeah,
get the Zulu rum.
Yeah, we want to be prudent and anyway.
Now, I always tell my customers, I want you 2 steps away from alcoholism. You know,
Yeah. So you're still buying.
Yeah.
You're not going to anything.
The one lady that works for us is,
program, right?
you know, after tastings, if there's any wine open, I take it to friends or people, and the one lady that works for us is scared that the neighbours are going to film what bottles remain in her trash can and report it to AA.
Yeah.
They can't.
No, it's light-hearted.
I
It's a
know,
joke,
I know. Yeah, I know. She told me that yesterday.
No, the amber one. I've got an amber bottle. It's open. Yeah.
It is actually
This colour amber.
surprisingly good.
Yellow,
Really?
orange.
So you really, that's pretty brave bringing Zulu rum into Bacardi's backyard. Because this
It
Florida
is.
is the Bacardi's backyard, right?
Yeah.
This is their town.
Well, you know what the thing is, our market has traditionally been South Africans. However, we're trying to edge away, and one of the products we're trying to get away from, there's nothing wrong with selling to South Africans. It's the Rhino.
Sure.
It's a product that can go anywhere. It's a wine-based product, so we're trying to get traction on the Rhino. And the South Africans, we do well, and they support us well on brandy and rums. Zulu rum's new everywhere. I mean, the guy literally was bottling the stuff through a professional bottle and labeling them in his backyard, in his garage. And when I went to visit him in Durban North, you've got to believe this boykie there, sitting there with his helper, putting labels on. And when you see how he spells addictive, you'll appreciate how basic they
It
are.
is pretty addictive.
But when you start reading how he's written the write-up on
Maybe
the
I have to
side,
do something with that.
Something is product, yeah.
it really is an interesting. It creates a very different vibe to
Yeah,
what
it
he's really going. The rum is secondary to the
So,
name.
John,
It's the Zulu that he said it.
Just to demonstrate loyalty, I'll buy 2 of those. The amber and the clear, please.
Good man.
We shall run it through a
Gifted
straw.
me the bottle of the amber, and I've got to say it's been.
Yeah, when he was there last time, he just raved about the amber. I felt so good. He gave me this expensive knife, and I want to say this is now. No, it's a beautiful knife. I've threatened my wife a few times with it.
I'll say that on TV.
We were watching that one
Tomorrow
program.
say he's a dead and then there's evidence against you.
We were watching that program Liar, where the woman kills a fella in the marshes, and they find his body in the marshes. We got the swamp out here, and I've got the knife.
Make sure you cut it up into little pieces. 'Cause
She's very obedient lately. No, you don't cut in little pieces.
Oh.
Yeah, but Gator's not
I don't think
I don't
this
want any.
conversation is going to make it to the final version of what is published.
Okay.
Okay, I was giving him little and you lot.
No, I know. You should again.
But you'll see how it's spiced. It's really smooth being as spiced like it is.
Wow, that is really
Hit with that.
different.
And it's a
Is that made
real
from sugarcane?
MP.
Is that from sugarcane?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
from Durbs.
Yeah.
Quite smooth
Now-
for
Very.
The lesson learned here is I don't understand the alcohol industry in South Africa and the taxes. Now he's using a third-party bottler, so you can't get the taxes extracted out of us. You've got to do your own bottling in SA to be able to export and remove the taxes. So this, no tax exempt. Had to pay full. The price we paid is what you literally bought from the bottle store.
What are those rates?
We're going to discuss
Okay,
it in the
never
vision,
mind.
but yeah.
Yeah.
But
that is heavy.
the point being is that you'd think that South Africa would try to promote the alcohol export. Are you having? You've left you alone.
Okay, I'm going to skip on that one for now because I do have to.
But this is
Very
one of those little secretive surprises. I'd love to get bigger traction, but the problem is when you talk vodka, every guy says their shelves are so overwhelmed with
There's so many.
vodka.
Yeah.
And rum's also one of those tough ones because you're competing against the Caribbean where it's all spiced. And this, we tend to not spice our rums in South Africa.
Except for
The red hot.
Red Hot.
Yeah,
Red Hot's unspiced, right?
No, it's unspiced dark rum.
Yeah.
It's really it.
But it's not South African.
It's a beefy rum.
It's gonna be.
It's not South African, it's made in the
Red Hot.
Caribbean. Yeah.
Really?
3 countries collaborate to make the rum. It's sent to South Africa, bottled, and then sent
And labeled as red hot.
You got it, and it's one of the oldest names in rums that nobody really knows about. We've also got a whiskey if you're a whiskey guy.
Well, I think we have to get back to rugby.
Okay,
But-
now
Yeah.
before we switch to rugby, you can keep that aside. I want to do this so that we can get this out of the way. We'll wait for Ruffy for the last.
Okay.
You tried Buffelsfontein Bronnewyn.
I haven't yet. I still have
There's
my
a
bottle.
Rover Bliksem.
No, but this is the most incredible, this product is marketed so well, like Nando's is marketed well in the chicken circles.
Right.
The guys who own the company do all their own marketing, and they feature in all their own videos.
They're like the Afrikaans Black Rifle coffee company.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
sure.
right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
They're the
I'm going to let
Afrikaans
you do it
version.
straight, just on its own, before you put Coke in it. Okay, are we
I'm gonna
playing
taste
with a
this
little
straight.
girly girl glass?
No, those aren't. Those
I've
are
never
vodka
had this
sugars.
stuff. This is also
That's
ready
a
to eat.
traditional vodka glass, that,
You want to try some?
of course. Sticking to the brandy.
Yeah, actually, that would be nice on ice, but no Coke.
It's a little sweeter
Yeah.
than regular brandy. Oh, you're never going to fit it in there.
It's been done before.
Yeah, this is. I'm a Scotch drinker, and I can drink this instead of Scotch.
Oh yeah, I agree. That is very
Very
sweet.
sweet, smooth.
No,
Yeah,
That's Buffelsfontein, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's sold here in the local stores out here in Palm Beach. And one of the things that the people enjoyed, surprisingly, there's not a single word of English on it. So you buy it for your mate because you don't understand what you're buying, and you don't know what your mate's understanding either. But you know, the sub-slogan is what, bedarf yourself, you rubber blitzen, spoil yourself, you rough bastard.
Yeah, you can Google that though, but you
And the
know,
second one is, moenie drink in die pad loop nie, jy kan sterf. Don't drink and walk in the road, you could die. I mean, that
you know
is
what,
so obvious.
now I never thought of this, but this is ideal for my market.
It is so African or South African that you cannot put.
No, I'm not dealing with South Africans. You know that. I'm dealing with
But Americans,
Americans.
so the guys have gone to
No,
South Africa
yeah.
can relate to
That
that.
is, oh my God.
We outselling Klipdrift at the moment with Buffelsfontein.
Really.
Cannot believe that the
And the
traction
same
we've got.
thing is
No, you know
happening
what?
in South Africa. They've hit at the corner of the market in South Africa. The guys are moving away from Rush.
We have to do a promotion on this.
The funny part as well is Ulfberg in South Africa have now gone to purely Afrikaans on their labels just to try and get that uniqueness in the product.
That's interesting.
I used to
Anyway.
look for diamonds out in Potchefstroom, in a little area called Oberholzer. It's like on the
Yeah, I know.
Whoever else,
on the road to Bloemhof.
Yeah.
And there was a little bar there in the middle of
Walmart
nowhere.
stock, maybe?
Yeah, just off, just like I said. So we were an hour away from Bodies. So on the race mill, on the race mill,
It's really a national
on
discussion.
the race mill Bull River, and there was this little bar in the middle of the farms called the Pofadder Padstall.
Of our Patstall.
And we used to go there
Puff
Friday
Adder.
night.
Patty's road straw.
Yeah,
Puff at a road straw, yeah.
So we used to go drink there every Friday night when we used to spend the weekends on the
You had a
pub.
very full, busy life, I could tell.
Indeed.
He's
Definitely.
been everywhere.
Well, how I got this job, in fact, he was an Israeli guy who was friendly with my father. And I just finished high school, and I was like, don't know what I was going to do. And I spent 6 months working for him on this diamond site in the middle of nowhere, eating grilled lamb every night, because we used to go buy the
How
sheep
bad
up
could
there.
that be?
It was great.
He had a tough upbringing.
It was,
Yeah, really.
it was great.
We had millie pop. He had lamb.
and impact and everything else. It was an interesting industry, the mining. But this little bar, we used to go in there on a Friday night, and all they would sell Klipdrift and Coke.
A piece of coke.
Klipdrift and Appetizer. Klipdrift and
Appetizer.
That was it.
Wow, that's a mix.
Like,
Yeah. Look different Coke.
Ladies' version of Klipdrift and Coke.
So what are the other brandies? It's limousine, limos.
You're looking back from SA?
Yeah.
that's
No,
right.
you know, there's like,
I grew up in Welkom. It's a gold mining town. If you went to a bar, you never knew if you'd exist, if you'd actually survive going to that bar, right? Especially if you spoke English. So that's why I speak such good Afrikaans. So,
you joke.
no, I'm not kidding you, I'm serious. So you go to a bar, you don't look at anyone, you just say Clippies and Coke or a limo and Coke.
No,
Limo's long gone. Limo,
Really? I've got a bottle of
Limo was
limos.
the middle of the 80s.
the middle,
I've still got a bottle here.
no, the main brand today is SFW Distell.
Yeah.
Okay. KWV 3, 5, 10. We now got a 12-year-old, we got a 20-year-old, a 15-year-old. So those are the kind of thing, they're trying to make it more to the connoisseur. And the latest thing we're now getting next month is Imoya from KWV. So it's more specialist, it's cognac to try and appeal to the international market.
Well, Hennessy cornered South Africa in the brandy market for a while. I remember when I was clubbing back in the day before we left, you'd go out and ask for a brandy and Coke, and you got like a Hennessy XO and Coke, and it was like,
Who the hell drinks Hennessy and Coke?
clubs in
Only
those-
freaking.
The students on the budget who go work from diamond mine eating land.
I never got paid for that job, guys. It was totally freebie. My father just wanted me out of the house.
But who pays for the land?
That's
The guy who owned the diamond sites.
that's why my son is on a sailing boat in Alaska.
Get him out of
But
the
I tell
house.
you what,
Get the hell
a
out!
couple of months after that, he shipped me off to the Israeli army. So
What are you, Rosh Hashanah or Rosh
I
Hashanah?
was Nachal, airborne.
Oh, okay, so Rosh Hashanah.
Interesting.
And then I went into croquettes. I specialized in croquettes for my last 2 years. So I came on handling. And then when I left there, I went into sandparks and started Pathfinder with the anti-poaching units. Then they kicked us out in 2008, and 2013 here I am.
That's
It's great.
Fascinating, yeah.
awesome.
Okay, back to rugby, because
Yes.
we're kind of exceeding
Hey,
an
mate,
hour
you
plus,
know,
Clive. She wants to try to keep it compact. She believes people lose interest in our talk.
No, I'm sure.
I don't believe that.
Did I?
No.
No, not if you're talking a lot of cock.
Look at Joe Rogan's podcast. The thing goes on for 3 hours, and he's got 1.6 million viewers. It's all in your content and how you get your content.
Okay.
Depends how much crap you can speak for how long. And if it's good
Exactly.
enough.
And I think we only
That's
saw
what
the
you
good.
meant.
That's the
The
thing.
figures
So
are
let's never have camera.
interesting. Yeah, this
No,
is
and I think we need to do those, lubricate before these podcasts.
That's exactly
Because it's only getting better and better the longer we go, for obvious reasons.
Okay, well, you know what? Ruffy's not here. I'm going to do you a quick shootout. 10 minutes has come and gone. I'm sure we've been doing this for an hour. Okay, now you're going to get your glasses there.
Nothing gets more shooters.
Now, I want Ruffy to see. Mark this cap, China. Check this cap.
Wow.
Gets excited.
Careful
It's a
now.
male cap.
Careful now.
what does the female cat look like?
I'll show you the female version now. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do the Russian one because Ukrainians are very sensitive about Russians right now.
Gives a shit.
Russian size, Ukrainian size.
That's propaganda.
I'm glad there's no African side.
That could be called racist.
Now, you're going to have Russians turning over cop cars and burning.
This is degenerating very quickly.
Yeah. They've already pulled down those statues.
I'm not a vodka guy. Ooh.
Yeah, also not.
We will be today. Take the small one.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to waste it.
Yeah. Piccanini's good for me.
Piccanini, go for it.
So it's grain based or potato based?
It's his vodka, let me do the sales pitch.
Cucumber.
Cucumber.
I kid you not.
Wow.
I can see that.
I love cucumbers.
It's still
I think what they say cucumber is, this is damn nice.
Damn smooth.
very
Isn't it?
Yeah,
smooth.
this is
No
good.
sharp edge.
Yeah. I was like
Wow.
kicking myself. Like,
I'm impressed. I'm not a vodka guy, but I'm
a bit
impressed.
of pickle juice. That'll be
It'll be
a
fantastic. It's
yeah,
fantastic.
or pickleback. It's actually the better way to drink vodka.
So if you freeze this, put it in the freezer, it is so smooth. And even non-vodka drinkers like Clive.
No.
Well, Clive's now going from vodka to brandy to I don't know what next.
This is Buffelsfontein, this is Clippies, and that's vodka. And that was the
the rum.
rum, yeah.
Okay, so you've bailed on the rum.
Seriously,
I'm
mixing
rum,
it.
yeah. No.
But Clive, are you ready for your next vodka?
We are not little.
Okay, we're running out of glasses, so can we do a pretty South African glass?
Excuse me for a second. I will get us more shoppers, shooters.
Interesting.
Am I allowed to walk off
Smooth
camera?
Cucumber. You
Yeah.
blew my mind there, man. You seen the vodka with the crystal skull?
Yeah.
That's
Did you guys go, any of you guys go to the Springbok game when they played here in Washington, D.C.?
No. My brother-in-law went though.
Okay.
He went up for that.
John and I were talking about it and thinking about it and couldn't get a venue together, so we didn't go. But
We were going to try and nickel and promote alcohol.
So I did the sevens.
That's okay, man.
I did the sevens 2 years ago, and the way it worked out from the calendar schedule was it was the week of sevens rugby. Then I went to LA for a week, and then came back into Vegas for the week of shot show, and then went back to LA, and then came back for a week.
That's
of
actually what we
safari
should
camp.
do, John. We should do the sevens in Vegas when they have it there. You know.
Well, I promised Chloe that we'd do the sevens, and when they're going to
No,
Vegas, we're
I'm
going to go
not
out.
less than that. Just a
No, you have
I
to.
want more than this.
Hey, how do you compare A and B?
I would.
Okay, so
I'm
now this
not
one,
going to
that's
pretty
right.
sensitive tongue.
Okay, he wants more, so
Is this grain based or potato based now?
This? I don't know. Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down, Haas.
So that's yours.
Ukrainian vodka.
This is Ukrainian.
They distill it so many times. This thing is such a great thing.
So
As you can see the
does
grain.
Hunter Biden have any shares in this?
Grain
Yeah, he
based.
does.
I'm John, does Hunter Biden have any shares in this?
Hunter Biden. We avoid. Yeah, right.
There's Ruffy. Perfect timing.
Okay, well, we'll add him for the shootout.
No, I like yours better.
Thank you.
The Russian, yeah, and it's not because it's yours.
It's harsh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like surgical spirits.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think you would like him to say that.
Well, it'll put hair on your head.
Put hair on my chest.
No, you don't need more than you need on your head.
Hi.
How's it, Ruffy? How are you? Join us, sit down.
John.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve.
Steve.
Okay, no, Ruffy can have my seat. Ruffy.
Wow, nice to meet you, bud.
You as well.
Okay,
I'll stand right here. man.
grab a seat.
Drop on there.
We're
Get
just
to it.
testing the vodkas at this point.
We're just chatting and doing vodka.
Okay, we get reminded.
You better catch up.
Okay, this is Ukrainian. I know you're passionate about your Russian vodka, but try your Ukrainian
Yeah,
first.
sir.
No, Ruffy is Canadian.
Canadian.
Cheers.
So
Cheers,
let's
Ruffy.
set a boat.
A booze.
Cheers.
Nice to know you.
So what's your favorite hockey team?
My favorite.
Hockey team.
Trump.
Toronto, okay. Yeah, my son played hockey in Banff.
Did
Yep.
That's good. Where did you at school?
Yeah, high school, and then he was recruited by Norwich University to go play for them.
I'm with you.
That's
But I am.
Yeah,
very-
right.
That this.
A lot of good players come out of
actually
there.
see
Yeah, no, so I have
Oh, yeah.
been in the hockey scene for a long
Guys,
time.
one conversation.
Always into trouble. And it's
Okay, well, this is what happens when a bunch of Buddha and a Canadian gets together, you know?
This is different. I won't tell you what it is. I'll just say it's gin and tonic.
It's very smooth this one.
Okay, well, yeah.
I have other glasses.
No, it's just a taste. It's gin and tonic. I want you to give my opinion.
It's what's right?
a grain-based vodka. Quite tasty for that.
It is. It's very smooth.
What is it? John, what is this?
Thank you.
It's gin and tonic from South Africa. What
Is
is
this
your
the
opinion?
gin that's made out of the
No,
elephant
it's not made out of elephant poop. I just want your opinion on it.
poop? I make handle material for my knives.
I think the glass is a problem. But
Probably.
non-alcoholic, John.
No,
That's
no,
the
no,
problem.
no. That's crap. Don't throw it away.
There's like soap water.
Dumpster.
It's the salt water that worries me.
No, you know,
can
it's-
see the bubbles.
You know what?
Proper.
You know what?
Soap water.
John, you should escalate, not de-escalate. That's absolute crap. Sorry.
Your hand sanitizer.
It is.
Yeah, no,
But at
that's.
least it's safe to drink, apparently.
I'm going back to your vodka to get
Yeah.
that taste out of my mouth.
Okay, in all honesty, it is our friend Ruffy's vodka,
Which one?
which is this one here.
Yeah, that's their favourite.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's
No, it's everyone's favourite.
It won the taste contest.
Okay, I'll have a little
I
bit
think
more
it-
because
I think that one's
it's a
infused
little
with
tiny.
Cucumber. Okay, so they're infusing it. There's not. Okay. And then the base of the alcohol is made from potato or from.
Thank you.
I think everyone stopped speaking rugby.
Yeah.
They're gonna get back there, relax.
It's got all the information.
Okay, so always potato-based vodkas, potato-made vodkas are always way super.
But this is cucumber, which is.
You said cucumber though.
Cucumber.
Yeah, I mean,
Cucumber
it's
is
very
huge,
smooth,
so-
it's very soft. You know, it doesn't. I'm not a vodka fan, but I like that.
I typically don't drink vodka straight. I have to mix it with something, but this one is really
Yeah, this one you
smooth.
can drink straight, no, for sure.
Really, really smooth.
Now you see, yes, a vodka expert, and you guys are liking the other one that he.
No, you got to
Well,
try.
we basing it on.
I haven't tried that one.
No, we
I haven't tried that one
Well,
yet.
you're gonna love that.
Well, it's supposed to be a taste test, right? Not a
Okay.
gallon.
Here's a clean glass, untouched by human hands.
Okay, well, let's pour you a vodka then.
Yeah.
Untouched by human hands.
Just a drop.
So coming back to rugby in Canada, I've got a little story there for you. My son played hockey in Banff, Canada,
Right?
and in the off season they play rugby.
Thank you, thank you.
So we went to Edmonton for the finals or the
Is it snowing?
the close one.
Is it snowing?
No, it was in summer.
Yeah, well, it always snows.
So,
in,
was, so yes,
August it snows.
yes,
in
it was
Edmonton.
snowing.
No. It was actually a beautiful time. And they played there against I think Edmonton High, and they came second. But coming off the field after 4 games, the Canadian U20 coach walked up to my son and said, I need to see you in Vancouver next week because we're having the U20 trials. And my son is like, well, U20 trials for what? He's like, for the Canadian U20. And
Wow.
my son's like, well, I'm not Canadian. And he's like, what the hell are you doing in Canada?
Very clever. How you put the tons in there, and then.
And come on, Russians would drink vodka all day, every day.
Yeah, but just have a
Oh
look
my
at
God.
the tons. The first
7
toast.
p.m. first toast, 7:30 second toast. Okay,
But read them in conjunction.
Ah, okay.
They're actually powerful at the end of it.
I'll then be the narrator. 7 p.m. first
What
toast.
are you taking? What are you doing?
We tasting all the stuff.
Talking rugby, doing wine tasting.
Rugby.
This is going on YouTube on a very, very, very declassified system.
Nice.
One of those unmonetarized.
Nice.
So how am I supposed to
Sorry,
get
am I
into rugby?
Sorry.
Are you auditioning? No, you're just lucky that we hired you. We need to think together how to improve the world. Really? Russians do that? The second toast. The first toast can be for any number of reasons. The second toast needs none. 8 p.m. the third toast. To drink the third shot, you have to empty the first 2. Really, this is senseless. 8:30 p.m. the fourth toast. Perhaps the truth is at the bottom. Okay, we're getting there. 9 p.m. is it worth repeating? It appears something is missing. The lack of contents in the bottle.
There you go. Excuse me.
Come on, it stands no chance against critics complaining Brahman.
So
Yeah, it's not meant to.
just
Two different
a
spectrums.
comment on Russian vodka. So I think a couple of years ago in Reno, at one of our shows we do, I was next to some Russians. And this was funny, man. So they start, the show opens at 9 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock they like, I'm selling wine, but they're giving me vodka. They're like, hey, celebrate with us, we're gonna have some fun today. We did it. And this carried on the whole freaking day. And around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, this cute little Russian girl, he's like, you want some action at your booth? I'll dance on the table for you.
Can only happen in Reno.
Only a Russian.
And she had jeans and boots and things like
She was
you know,
going
and-
down.
Well, and she jumped, and our booth is this high, okay? And she jumped on there, and she, with wine bottles and glasses and everything, did a little Russian dance there for us, and the people just stopped, and like, in amazement say, oh my God, what's going on here? I said, we got Russian and South African vodka,
I think we're running out of rugby steam at this stage.
no, we're not. The Russians play actually good rugby.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Slovenia was one of the top teams in the last World Cup.
I mean, you know, they're up and coming. The Japanese is doing exceptionally well. The rugby is growing.
I was amazed to see the US in the last World Cup.
Same thing.
I mean, their first World Cup, I think, was 2017, I think it was.
Sure.
If I'm not mistaken.
I think
it could have been better.
Yeah, whatever.
I think two before that. Yeah, one before that. Yeah. So.
And they really didn't highlight in anything, even in the first round of the round robin. But in the second time they appeared, they really forced to reckon with them.
You know what? You can do a comparison. If you think about soccer, your second favorite sport.
It's okay.
If you look back at US and soccer, it was like nowhere. And through the years, it just got better and better.
Absolutely.
And as people started recognizing it as a sport, because they really haven't got that traction on rugby just yet. And the minute it got onto television and there was a following, it just accelerated.
Right.
So
we hope for the same. We hope for the same.
And the same theory is going to be true here, very, very short. The women's soccer team won the World Cup how many times? 3 times now? Okay.
Welcome back, Rafi. Yes, come on.
That's
Do
right.
you want some brandy and Coke?
No.
And,
No, it's South African. You've got to try it.
Sure.
So we're listening.
Okay, now with
Let's give it a
the
buffalo.
women's rugby
Bit of
team in US is going to win the World Cup rugby very, very soon.
We mix it with Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
Sorry, we're not ignoring you.
This is a culture.
Because
this is a cultural.
I mean, rugby is taken. John, I'm talking rugby, and you're not freaking listening.
We're listening.
Oh, but John, these guys are drinking. They're not listening to you anymore.
I'm saying the women's rugby team in the US
Awesome team.
is going to win the World Cup in the next roundabout for sure.
Really?
Yeah, that is where rugby is growing the fastest is with women's rugby, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Truly it is.
But you know, you were talking about sevens earlier and the fact that it's this little quarters and people's attention span gravitate better. Look at cricket. Guys used to watch 5 days. By the second day, you're done.
We
I used to watch 5 days.
Stupid
Yeah,
people.
we, yeah,
the whole stadium.
the older stuff.
5 days. My God, think about it. Don't run away, bro.
Nice over here.
No, please.
No, you need to be behind it. Put your chair behind it.
They got the camera.
You gotta
You need
stay
the
there.
camera.
Oh, the camera. Okay.
Yeah, bring your chair here, buddy.
The 5-day cricket series were always great because you got
They
5
were.
Listen, we don't want to talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stop this cricket bullshit. We're talking rugby.
No, but then
Please, no,
then
stop
came
it, John. You're paying me to come talk rugby. Now you want to talk.
paying you.
Yeah,
Paying you?
yeah.
Thank you.
What's not paying you?
He regards free
That's
alcohol as
okay.
payment.
That's right.
Anyway, the 50s then made it a little more interesting. Now the 20 overs, even more interesting because at
Truly.
least your attention span 3 hours later is there.
Yeah. I can tell you lots of stories about cricket.
The only
I
problem,
like this event.
But that's also about broadcastability. That's
No,
what
yeah.
Okay,
I find the
so
sevens
what we're
too
gonna
few
have? Put me
people.
sort of buffles
I'd like to understand what's next because
I'll go back to that cricket thing because it's an example to set you for rugby in the US. You look at 2020 cricket, the Pro 2020
Sure.
has been the most
Unbelievable.
explosive sporting event.
because you have 1.3 billion people playing in India.
100%. That was the model for you. You've got 380 something million people playing American football here.
No.
That is an untapped market for rugby.
Yep.
So the broadcastability of a sport shows that it is a money-making.
Okay, I'm gonna go with what you're going with, buddy.
You with me?
I'm with you. That's the buffles glass.
I like that.
oh, but that's got water in it. I mean, now
Stop it in here.
That's okay.
so down for yourself.
You're going to run out of
there.
battery over
But
here.
that for yourself. You're
Oh, by the way, that brandy that you
no
got
one.
now,
Oh no, he's got a beard. You have to
That's
go.
what I'm
You have to
saying.
do this with your beard. When
No.
you like it.
this brandy started by guys who made beard oil for men who want to groom their beard. And it's called, in Afrikaans, it's called die manne van die baard, the men of the beard.
So there's good oil in it.
No,
Yeah, just a taste. That's it.
And then
don't
they
kill
say,
it.
"Delf yourself your rubber blitzen, spoil yourself your rough bastard."
It's moist.
Very smooth. I know.
And then they've got moenie pak loop nie, jy kan sterf. Don't drink and walk in the road, you can die.
Definitely not a Canadian rock, that's for sure.
No.
I think we've lost the plot here. At what point do we cut off?
No, we're getting good, yeah.
I got one more rugby question. Why the hell can I not find a rugby ball anywhere in Florida?
You have to go on Amazon.
Call me.
Amazon,
Call me.
Amazon. Yeah, I've got several. You want to pay $100 for it? I've got it. How many?
I've been at that point.
No, I've got several, and I've got some signed by Western Province players. So.
I heard the question. Please contact me, Garth, Duff-Gray, Boca Raton Rugby Club, and I will get you rugby balls.
I've still got my Gilbert signed by the whole 95 Springbok squad. I was at that game, the 95 game, I'm 13 years old.
Wow.
That's how scary it was.
I don't care how young you are. I mean, you're trying to brag.
My first game was when the Lions, my international game was when the Lions was Willie John McBride.
Oh my God.
Right?
What a bunch of routes.
That's before sanctions.
That's before you were born.
I wasn't even a switch in underpants then.
No, but that was a rugby team.
Oh, yeah.
Those lines were a rugby team.
Yeah, with Willie John and JJ Williams.
JJ Williams, the whole.
And Garth
Willie John
Edwards.
McBride. Yeah.
Phil
Gareth
Bennett.
Edwards.
Phil Bennett. Yep.
Wow.
That's yours.
I already have one.
That was my first international.
Luckily, you live across the road.
At the Free State
Same one,
Stadium.
no?
Yeah, I remember
Same
that.
one, yeah.
I know.
You need to try to
See it.
No, no, I think
I was there with my
Yeah,
dad.
that one.
Oh, really?
And
Get one. Give us one trip instead.
Yeah.
That's what he just gave me, no?
No, you're going to do a clip trip now.
I'll tell you what,
So,
Give him a
my rugby friend here,
Wait,
No, no, take the water out.
which is the best?
No, okay, we'll get
Which is the best college team in South Africa right now?
Our producer over is
Well,
killing
the
himself
stopwatch
because this has lost all.
Yeah, I'm with you.
got a lot of editing.
Anytime.
Well, those two. I mean, no one else can match up.
No, sure. Yeah.
That's why you don't edit. You just let it go.
So there we go. He's tasting, not me.
Alright.
Straight up.
Straight up, yeah, so you
I
can
want you
get,
to get
and we're going
the
to give you that other one straight up as well, so you can get the flavor.
So yeah. And, but,
We're
you know,
doing a
New
serious
Zealand is
tasting.
back in playing. They played New Zealand's back in playing. They played the first game.
They did. After COVID.
Yeah.
Brandy.
No, and ours is we're doing it
He
tasting.
wants a rugby conversation and he's talking shit on the other end there.
We're talking brandy now.
The Club 7.
It's the sponsors break.
Right?
Go to the toilet, come back off.
Products. I think the
Come back after the sponsor.
7's right that you guys get up in Canada, the Canadian Club.
Louder.
Oh, yeah, the CC, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so that is our.
This wasn't safe. This is brand
We're going to sell tickets to the next event. Like,
You're right.
And we've gravitated to whatever holds alcohol.
But now in South Africa we do transcend alcohol and Coca-Cola.
Which is fine, but this actually tastes.
I've got other glasses, I promise.
Yes.
The host unfortunately has run out of glasses.
No, he has not. He has not.
No,
So that's a beautiful
but you know what? I think this is a typical South African situation.
Yeah.
Right?
This one's sweeter.
Yeah, that was-
Okay.
It comes out of a cockroach.
No. We're trying to get the Canadians' opinion
Oh
on
my God,
brandy.
you can't educate Canadians, I'm sorry.
He's actually reloading all the wine class.
She's going to cut all of this out. You realize that?
I mean, look at their president or their prime minister. The guys are.
This one.
His favourites we
Yeah,
can't
drink this
talk,
straight.
he says he likes blah blah blah. What's your other?
Blah, blah, blah.
Yada what?
If you throw
Yeah.
you're good to go. This one, you
Okay.
probably need to mix a little bit.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh, now we're trying to educate the Canadian on brandy.
The Canadian likes the clip drift.
Everybody loves
Okay.
drift.
That's how cheap brandy is for wannabes. Wannabes struggling real brandy.
Maybe I just got too taste. That's what it is.
This degenerated to cockroach.
Yeah. Buffels contain. You know, Afrikaans buffels contains buffalo spray.
The knife guy is saying.
Buffalo spray. Buffalo country.
The Jews know the guys.
By the way, that's his real present.
That's my real profession.
He makes knives.
Oh my God, now they're into knives.
So,
Jesus Christ.
We're not allowed to have these in Canada. We're not
Where?
allowed.
I just want to know, is this a Peter Sellers skit?
Toronto City Centre and other, but if you go towards 12 and
The party, the yourself.
We actually live in Mississauga.
Oh my God, this is funny.
Okay. Producer,
I grew up in Mississauga.
I think it's time.
5 more minutes to be wrapped up.
Bring your wife in, she can go and join the party.
So it's
Now we do
Yeah,
that.
in the States.
Excuse me.
You know you're calling your wife.
Some of the best makers that I know.
Okay.
We need some female
We're going to have
company.
one more American taste brandy.
Oh, she's American?
American, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
She's like you. So you married an American?
You're right.
That's his gift from last week. That's actually made from a farrier's farm.
from a what?
Farrier's farm. So you can see the stripe.
So which one there is yours, Don?
No, that's my gift, Joe. It's not. He's not taking it back. After our wine tasting last week, he gave me a knife, and I'm not allowed to say that
I'll give you
if my
this.
wife gives me any drama. I'm going to use it for biltong.
This
I'll
one's
get you a cold.
This one I can scare my wife off.
Can you please join us?
The
There's
hand
your
might be
seat.
more scary.
Your husband feels free to join us. Hi,
If
Leslie.
you want to fall pregnant, you've got to walk.
Okay, are you in the front of my picture?
Nice to meet you, Nancy.
After you're born.
Castle.
Castle Lager.
California.
Oh, California, okay, that's why you, yeah, that's why you guys have that.
Now, now we're going backwards.
That's Castle Lager.
I mean, you must be so happy that you moved.
You must say, Charles!
So what I do is
Charles Glass.
Academy.
I know you
Can
don't.
you speak
I mean, I was there a couple of. I was there the day before.
John, we come back to
The
you.
23rd of December last year.
It's going to be a good laugh. And that brandy.
Yeah.
I hope this makes the final cut.
I really do as well.
Yeah.
This is how we ended.
Well, cheers, thanks.
Nice to meet you.
That good castle always, you see, he shares the damn castle with his wife, but not with
Good.
His wife is not benefit.
No, no, no.
He said I couldn't stand here with Estella.
Oh yeah, no, didn't really get
Amstel
your
maybe, but not Amstel Light, because that's just like too bad.
What? You want to promote the Dutch now?
No.
Really?
Well, Amstel's
really.
not Dutch,
It's easy.
That'll be a draw, man.
but it's
Belgium.
No, it's Dutch.
Part of the AB in InBev is Belgium,
Yeah,
which now owns SA Breweries.
There's
Have you
nothing
had
like
South
a beer
African
share
beer?
beer, 4 o'clock in the afternoon,
I have to
Amstel and
Oh, you're
Sprite.
right. You're right. You're right.
You know,
Listen to
Good.
Castle.
since I came to America,
Can we give you brandy?
Why am I not drinking that?
Do you want brandy?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, come, you the host.
Need a
See that
glass.
you
Sure.
discuss.
Okay.
Can we get a clean
By
glass?
the way, no, we've got one more glass. This place is a little shorter glass.
Alright, so what are we going to do?
no, she's going to fetch a glass.
Oh, no, please, for God's sake.
Yeah,
We have
no.
other glasses.
No, now you can be grading the brandy.
You Americans. I don't know, you
Glass
Americans.
the brandy?
We're not American, we're South African.
Even worse.
He's worried that you've got a knife in the back of your pocket here.
No cop has stopped me in 9 years.
I think they do
When
stare.
they do stop me, I give them
It's
my
bringing
business
our
card
eyes.
to become my customer the next day.
Who needs an empty?
All right, John.
So you can carry that legally just.
Okay,
As long as I
No,
size
no,
it.
You have to taste
So we need it, it's
the.
still one license, okay.
Was that the buffalo something? Yeah, that was
The buffalo's from
This.
That's crap.
No, it's
Don't even go
dish
there.
No,
soap.
that's
Okay.
throw it away.
Dish
I think
soap.
5 minutes we caught
Yeah,
on
this
that.
soap, that's a good one. You can use it to sanitize your hands.
Okay, if you don't have hairs on your chest, it grows quickly.
I'll let John sell
No,
it.
you do the selling. I've got enough selling for the day.
So, Buffelsfontein is, in Afrikaans, means Buffalo's Fountain, basically. So,
Buffalo Fountain.
Brandewijn is
Goeie
very-
geluchtig,
and
mensen.
it's made by a bunch of guys that started out their whole company making beard oil.
Beard.
Yeah.
Correct. So you grow a
Really?
beard.
So, you grow a beard.
That's for you.
Yeah, maybe that's fine.
So, there's no.
You don't have a beard, you have a scruff oil. You will see these guys' beards, they're like.
It's like I can't read it.
So basically, you want some bacon? Yeah. Really? Come on.
No, I can drink it straight.
Yeah! Hey! That's my girl!
Bigger knackers than you got.
I've always loved
We have each other.
Don't water it down for her.
You'll find it very sweet, very mellow, easy to go
It's
down.
good.
So,
You like it?
Yeah.
brandy makes
Easy to
some
go
great
down.
remnants.
So I'm in the same situation as he is because I married an American girl. American girl from,
From
no, there's
Pretoria.
no American girl from Pretoria. She was born there?
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like a cock story to me.
And you know I'm in trouble all the time when I'm here drinking with you.
Yeah, Deep cock.
Okay, now she has to go. She has to play catch up. I mean,
Oh, no, I
catch up.
don't need to catch
No,
up.
no,
Oh, I
you're
get
going to go
it,
clip
okay.
drift.
No,
Okay.
clip drift.
Do we need some
a
more
taste.
little glasses?
No,
No, don't worry. We'll
You
figure
need
it
to
out.
have coke with it, but
Yeah, this one we'll do with Coke.
but that's.
We'll do
Well, now let it be side by side, neat, so she can get a feel for it.
No, come on. Put
No,
that.
don't go crazy for
No, no,
it.
please say, don't.
Please do.
Alright.
Oh, yeah. No. We know how to help you with nothing.
First thing, please.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you can see the
Go.
difference between the two in flavor of water and ice and
I'm
water.
Team Garth tonight.
Okay, so which is your better one of the two?
Okay, now throw coke in both.
Biffle
No,
Swinton.
I don't.
He like clip drift.
Okay. I mean, Clip Drift is Clip Drift, but I think before
That's a lot
is better.
stronger. The first one's a lot.
They're both 43% alcohol.
Yeah, but to drink this, this reference, have a cigar, I have the other ones.
Right.
There you go.
Both of them. This one's a little drier in the palate.
Yes.
I'm going to
Oh,
give
it
a
is
slight
bad.
job.
Yeah,
Which
I
one
know.
is
And if you don't sell any alcohol from this freaking thing, you're dead in the water, buddy. Because there's a bunch of guys having a really good
And this is
time.
the
This
cultural
is South African stuff.
This is the cultural thing. During our Coca-Cola in South Africa,
Why the
it's
hell
got
did you
real
put so much
sugar.
coke in
Yeah,
there?
not the
This
South
is
African.
a little like
You
Should
don't
be
have
on
to get offended
flavored
for me.
vodka.
No, I'm getting offended for you because
See,
this is what it should look like.
flavored vodka. He's the guy who bought all
I know my customers.
Yeah, but Buddha.
I've got a warehouse full of
Oh my
we're,
God.
closing down last week. Bought up the warehouse.
It's a coke machine.
Now that one,
No,
That's the colour it should
they
be.
went back
I agree.
to South Africa.
I agree.
So the American market is
but
plunged.
I'm trying to keep
Yours is
it
the
balanced.
darkest.
I almost like this one better.
Because it's a drier finish.
A
Right.
bottle at the moment.
So I can see where your palate's
Retail.
going in terms of what you would pair with it or what you would do with something like
I like this one better.
Clip drift.
Which
number
takes you
one.
back to clip drift
Yeah.
again.
Totally.
Okay, hang on.
Clippies and coke or Buffles and coke?
No, that's clip drift and Coke.
Leslie,
Clippies.
You have to figure that out.
you arrived late.
I'm like,
You
no,
now
I
have,
was working.
what gives
Right
you
while
that
I'm
idea?
hearing all you guys having fun and I'm like getting out a conference call with my boss. Yeah, I know. It was tough to do.
okay, well, now you have to do the vodka challenge.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to
Oh, no,
taste-
no, I don't probably need
no,
that.
just a quick shot of each.
Oh,
I'm sorry, the host
that
doesn't have enough glasses.
yeah, we have plenty of glasses.
I don't think there's a short as a shoot of glasses in this house.
I want to know who's going to do the dishes.
Yeah,
sure. So it's like-
So it's something we do in South
That's why you
Africa.
do that.
It's so very nice.
Well, I just.
So in Mozambique, what they do with their rum is they'll put like a raspberry or strawberry flavored soda.
That's why I got so
Cranberry
because
juice and
that's-
things.
I mean,
There we go.
I think-
like a fancy strawberry.
I think the guys didn't have listened to us.
Yeah, me too, because we
Clive,
Huh?
we're going to go the last 3 minutes, so it's now all up to Leslie to do tasting and give us an opinion.
Oh.
Alright, so that's
Would you like some cream liqueur at the end of it, just to
No.
wake
Yeah,
you up?
yeah,
No, I don't
Oh
think
my
so.
Just to
God.
close it
No,
up.
no, I
yeah,
have to
just
work
to
tomorrow.
congeal in the stomach. Yeah.
Tomorrow's a long ways away.
Who cares about tomorrow? Tomorrow we die.
This is a bunch of drunk South Africans right now.
That's
2
terrible.
glasses of water before you go to bed, 1 glass of water when you wake up in the morning, you are good to go.
Is that right? That's
That's
the
the way
trick.
it goes. Alright, so that is the Russian
I
one.
think I wish you know bring it closer to you.
And that is the Ukrainian one, which is...
Give me one of those knives here so I can break this thing up with. Bye, donkey.
My fault,
It's all come out ready to come. That's my little girl.
Bye, donkey.
Really?
Yeah.
Sell knives.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And you do sell knives.
No, John, don't bring up more
Okay.
stuff, man.
Oh, here we go.
Impossible,
No,
yeah.
I just wanted his opinion. The guys are trying to get us to sell Limpopo Reserve whiskey.
Oh, now there's a whiskey.
Yeah, you want to try
Limpopo
Yes,
Limpopo
of course you
Reserve? I told you I was going to let you taste it the last time.
So
Why are they making Limpopo whiskey?
All close.
Lovely bottle, nice bottle.
I think I need to clean
Now,
clear my
You should,
palate.
yeah. And you know what's the fact of
One conversation.
when we do wine tastings,
yeah, which means
people can either drink water, but this,
And then
yeah,
you
please,
always
it's out there.
Well, we need the salsa and chips.
Nice bottle, like the bottle.
Where's the salsa and chips?
You want to try a 10-year-old brandy?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, sure we
I
do.
think I've got my
Is it
alcohol.
open?
Not right here.
It's open.
Okay, well,
Now, the difference between the vodkas.
No, I'm so busy. I'm so busy with straight away.
Okay.
I know.
I need to get the picture.
Yeah.
You know, this really got me on my chest. This is company's got the bottom. There you go. No, you said.
That is very strong.
Okay, first the whiskey, guys. Guys want us to sell us whiskey. We've got to see if there's a market.
So,
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah,
Limpopo
that's
Reserve.
which one I like
It's a
better?
fine Scottish brand. Oh, aye.
Colin Montgomery will approve.
Yes. Tis known as the Limpopo Reserve.
You need to
Fucking A.
one conversation at a time, sir. No, I know them. Like, if I need to sell us something, I'll just phone it.
Right. Or drop it off and we'll say.
You do
okay.
whiskey?
Yeah, we
No,
do.
I'm good.
Big
Hey,
time.
you've got to taste
I love
this.
Scotch.
Just a
I
little
really
shot.
love.
I've got a shitload of Scotch.
I love
Made
Scotch
in
because
Do
you
we
know.
need more? Okay.
Made in the
We're running out of glasses. We've got like 300 out here.
Okay.
Well, who's washing the dishes, John?
He is. He's not leaving before we get the dishes washed.
What do you think, Rob?
Oh.
Oh my God.
This one.
Well, Chloe, do you want to
You
drink
got
now?
whiskey, you got whiskey, you got whiskey.
All right, Limpopo Reserve, the fine Scottish Highlands Transvaal edition.
no felt edition.
Wel competition. Gezondheid en nie rondheid. Mag hy val
Now,
waar
I
hy
present
wil.
to you with a beat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Action. No, this is damn good.
Hold on a second.
Very different flavour to it.
No, it's good. I like it.
It's nice. It's very mild.
From the famous Transvaal peat fields.
Is that called Bit Bank?
It was at one Scott that didn't go back up.
Albernoni.
This is the one Scott that didn't go back after the Boer War.
Single grain whiskey, fermented with grain and aged in oak barrels. You'll pick up a nose of musk and tasting notes of caramel and fruitcake.
I got the must.
Fruitcake. Okay.
We're all together here.
Oh, there you go. I got the fruitcake.
Wait. We'll finish.
It's very mild.
The finish is.
I can taste the bit of the Limpopo.
Then clean the bottle water, right?
You because it's like.
Nothing
No,
wrong with that.
not at all.
Okay, the finish is soft and lingers in your mind like a tranquil sunset picture in the bushveld of Limpopo province. Proudly South African, Balaborwa.
Oh, Balaborwa.
Bushveld, Bosveld.
Still got another like 113 kilometers to go to the
More than that, would. Far more than
If you drive in the Kruger, it's
140
140
was mine.
k's.
This
To
one.
the Limpopo.
Explore,
Okay.
that's yours.
Okay, I believe you.
This one's yours.
Only because I like you.
It's just because I spend enough time in Kruger.
Oh, God.
I don't think it's the best Scotch.
It's not bad.
By the way, I hope you got educated in rugby.
Not really.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We'd need
Okay.
one more
You
just
like what? You don't
What
know?
that?
Oi,
one
oi,
more
oi.
installation, and it could be a nice Scotch.
No, I like wine. What flavor? Yeah, it's got a lot of flavor to it.
Yeah.
I would actually like my friend Tim O'Neill, which is a Scotch thing
I
for
think
me,
I'm going.
Have a go with that, yeah.
to try and see what
awesome.
it's like. What do you think?
All right.
That's really nice. Yeah.
Okay, Chloe has had enough. She's like,
Alois had it.
Do the rhino and we're going.
No, we're closing up with KWB 10.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Not to
The
me.
rhinos.
Glasses. Jesus Christ.
One more round of glasses and you're done.
no, I don't know.
Leslie?
I don't know
Wash
that
them.
coffee
I'm done. Put my.
Would you like some rhino?
You just showed up.
No, I'm good. I'm gonna finish this.
Have you got ice cream you put on your rhino on your ice cream?
No, so much on. Jeez,
Have you tasted the rhino?
you're going
I have
nuts,
not.
man.
Okay, he hasn't tasted it.
Okay.
There's a sip left. You're not
Suck on
going
the
to
rhino horn.
Do you want to say that?
There was a guy who wanted to sell it in China and call it the milk of the horn or something,
Okay.
the milk of the rhino. Very bad wording.
Yeah, anything with the
Okay.
word milk in it.
What is that?
Leslie, I think we need 6 glasses and then we're done. And
No,
then
no, I know what
cut.
this is. This is all the shit you poured in there. Oh my god.
Oh dear.
Too much flavour.
Oh my god.
Figure it out.
Too much flavour for a single barrel.
But that vodka's
Thank God we only have 5 left because I'm gonna go and enjoy mine.
No, we do this all the time.
I find that smooth.
No, man, I want one for rhino.
Yeah. I find
Okay.
that finishes a lot of physical spirit in the mouth.
I thought this was the opposite.
Oh,
Maybe
no.
unless I mixed up my cup.
Hold. Take your poison.
I think we're gonna
Okay, wait. We're gonna do a Canadian tasting Royal Rhino.
Ooh.
Okay. We want your opinion.
Now you know the whole thing about round the horn and aphrodisiac.
Oh.
Okay, it's like Viagra.
He's gonna say.
Absolute nonsense.
He's gonna say it's about.
Very nice.
It's very good.
Yeah.
He's gonna say it's about good.
There's the last sip. Anybody?
It's a dessert drink, right?
Yeah, it's a dessert. Yeah.
Okay. Clive.
Yeah.
He's pouring in a flavor with me 10 so he can end up his
A
evening.
little bit here between that.
Garth, the host. Garth extended his house show.
Yes,
tonight.
sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you. 3 times full, sir.
Flavored,
Thank you.
Amarillo is made from the fruit, which is a deciduous fruit tree that grows in Devon.
Hey, Willem.
I know that.
Willem.
It was created by this
Willem.
company.
Steve,
So
I call him just Willem.
Willem.
that's his middle name. Steve Katz.
Oh, good smelling and tasting and shit.
Yeah, no, he just got it all,
You want to try
man.
10-year-old?
No, I'm good.
10-year-old.
No, you gotta try
Easy
it.
to
Okay, I'm gonna try
10-year-old.
You gotta try the 10-year-old.
Easy to drink.
I just gave him one and he just sucked it down like it was.
Yeah, he knocked it down. We want that fella to
Easy to drink.
roughly
Throw a piece
taste.
of ice in there. Dude.
Yeah.
Wow!
Come on, drink like a man. Not like a Canadian.
It's like a.
Look, you see my wife?
We gang up on the Buccaneers here tonight.
He doesn't like
Sorry
this.
about that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And now there's more video gaming.
That is a new issue.
Oh.
Just by the way,
I'm not.
That's really good. That's very nice.
my
You gotta
brother-in-law.
drink it though.
No, I
I
want
don't
to.
drink everything.
Yeah, you must.
I must not.
Yes, you must.
I must not.
You never started.
Everything in front of you must go.
Come on.
First of all, this is
Ruffy.
my wife.
You just have to walk across the road.
Ruffy, come on.
Well, you can swim across
Come on,
the
look,
canal.
you can do it.
You finish yours, Garth, and I'll finish mine.
Cheers, man.
All of them.
Okay.
All of those.
Yeah, we're gonna finish it off.
All of those.
Ain't no rugby practice tomorrow.
He will. And then you have to do yours.
Okay, I will.
Okay, there you go.
Cheers.
Oh, he's gonna have that. Oh, no. He's clever. He's clever.
Oh, man. Life is good.
Okay.
Dope is good.
No, I just want to tell you, talking about liver ulcer.
Yeah.
In my brother-in-law worked on a mine in Carltonville. And I remember I rode down there with a motorcycle, guitar strapped on my back. I still can't play guitar though, but it was like a chick magnet, you know, having a motorbike and a guitar. Going down to Carltonville of all places. You know, that's where you pick up chicks.
Our careers are ruined, though.
That was back in the day.
All we made in the shade. What is it?
No, but hang on. Get my but's place, my butch-in-law, and just this miner growing little dachel plants.
Some weed, definitely called weed. It was growing weed.
Just like growing dachel plants, nurturing this little pond
Boy, every day.
in between his garden, and nobody had to see it behind the bush, and he was proud to see him growing up there, so he could have a little bit of weed.
I used to do that in my dad's tomato bush. The reason I bought the tomato bushes
Because they look the same.
same.
Yeah.
You can see it. I'm a bust.
Well, I haven't tried.
Now we gone from rugby to weed. Really?
Okay, back to rugby.
Digress.
Let's do the last.
Comment. Yes, we like your opinion on
Everybody
that
has
one.
the last comment about rugby.
Amen.
Rugby.
Well, the Canadian know shit about rugby, so
They
no.
play good rugby. What the hell?
You know anything about
I
rugby?
know shit about rugby.
Very good.
All I know is Garth and he needs a rack. That's all I know about rugby.
So
He needs a storage rack. Sorry, go ahead.
He's a
I
storage
think,
rack.
I think you guys shut the.
Okay, well, it's all about Clive.
Okay, no, come on.
Colin Clive.
I think rugby has a great future in America, and I'm very proud of what you're doing,
Thank you.
and in improving rugby and bringing it to good kids, and we should all get this together and make it the sport and what it is and what it's supposed to be. So thank you very much, sir. You're the best.
Thank you very much, Clyde.
Well, it's you, Nick.
John, thank you very much.
No, thank you for hosting it.
Right.
It's going to be embarrassing to review. Hopefully she won't edit it too much so you can see the real undertone of this.
Yeah. So,
We're waiting for you to make this dramatic.
I'm desperately trying and wrap this all up.
Firstly, Garth wants to do it again,
Yeah.
and I think you should invite the whole rugby team next time.
Yeah. I heard that.
Yeah, we all heard that.
So, thank you very much indeed for this brandy, rum, vodka, wine, Royal Rhino tasting event.
And Castle.
And Castle, of course, Castle beer. We would greatly appreciate the fact that we have this opportunity again. And please, bring your kids and bring your men out to play rugby.
Anywhere in the U.S.
Yeah.
Come and watch.
Find a club.
Yeah,
Find a
yeah.
club. You know, do your research. There is rugby being played all over the country, so get them there. I mean, it's very important, guys. Thank you.
I'll take it one step further, and I'll close.
He's
off-
gonna sell knives for
I'll close off. I'll close off with something meaningful here. There's a reason why Nelson Mandela chose the Rugby World Cup in 1995 as a spectacle to unify our country. It's one thing when you're on the ground in South Africa and you have a conversation with anyone that's there, it's always about rugby or braaivleis, which is barbecue, or biltong, or the booze that we just all had awesome tasting of. It goes deeper than that, guys. It's about cultural identity. And rugby for us is something identifying. We all go through it as kids. We bond together on the rugby field. We might play different teams together in high school or primary school, but our friends are born from that. And it's the handshakes that we leave on a sports field that propels us into the men that we become in the future. And I just want to say, thank you for teaching that to youngsters here in the US. And remember, guys, it's not about what you are or who you are, it's about what you do. And that's clear and evident in everything that Garth has achieved with rugby in Boca and also South Florida.
Now I'm going to make a disappointing statement.
Go for it.
When you're skinny like me, you don't do rugby because you get hurt.
I'm skinny.
No, you still got muscle on you. You wield a hammer and that.
Yeah.
You know what though? From a mom's perspective, rugby builds men. That's what
Right.
it is.
Yes.
right?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Are you saying something about me now?
I'm not saying anything. No, really. It does. Both my sons and all their friends are part of this rugby club, and it's created a bond, and it's created a lifelong friendship. They can go anywhere in the world, right? Say they're part of rugby, and they'll be welcome. And that is the beauty of rugby,
Well,
Why do we interview her instead of you?
I know.
right?
Right.
Well, I've been a rugby mom now for what?
I think that's harder
10
than
years.
a rugby dad.
It's kind of.
It must be
It's full.
much
No,
harder.
and are you still recording?
She gave up about an hour ago, by the way.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that, I've contacted so many people that I played rugby with on Facebook 20, 30, 40 years ago. 40 years ago, yeah. And,
You that young?
You still have the legs, man, and the shorts.
yeah.
You know, the
Shorts never change. The shorts never change. There's only one height.
Oh,
of
my
shorts
wife,
per man.
my wife has a problem because I have real rugby shorts, okay? And
Like
they
Speedos?
were getting old, So for Father's Day, she bought me 4 pairs of real rugby shorts from Amazon.
So Verna, right?
Hey.
The tough ones, the ones that don't
Yeah.
get
Rugby rugby shorts.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
I'm telling you, a
So-
man who plays rugby has rugby legs for the rest of his life.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
And the Magnum PI hot.
Yeah.
So-
And they're not embarrassed, right?
So why are you wearing long jeans?
Embarrassed.
No,
It's
it's
very
not me
cool.
at a
You
bad
know,
time
and
today.
it's so great to hear from an American.
Right.
Okay, well now we can leave it over to our Canadian sponsor.
Yes, really.
Selling Russian vodka. Who knows nothing about rugby.
Oh, he does.
On a closing note.
Hey, talk about hockey then, because it's the same
No, no, I'm talking
You
about,
want to catch up there,
I
boy?
want to talk about rugby. I mean, thank you guys for having me. If this is part of the rugby life, I want to be
It
part
is.
of it.
Sign me
I, you
up.
know, I wish I had
We'll
played
get-
rugby when
you
I
know,
was
I'm
Jack is very
I'm
much
gonna get you a
rugby
pair of shorts right
Give me
now.
the shorts. I want the shorts.
I want you to have.
And I want to be
shorts
part of the
for
rugby club. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
just
you
go on
for having me.
Amazon and don't buy the cheap ones because they're made in China. Buy the ones that's made in New Zealand,
That's right.
you know.
Those boys know how to play.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy the
They
ones that
make
are
shorts
see-through.
other than
The ones I
sheep.
want.
There's nothing
That's all I
worse
got
than
in
a
New
pair
Zealand.
of-
Let's not go there, Johnny. Let's not
There's
go
nothing
there.
worse than a pair of rugby shorts tearing in a rugby game.
I know. You know, you see it all ass hanging
Okay,
out there.
guys,
I probably.
thank you for having us, and we appreciate you. If you made it this long, congratulations.
Go Rugby USA. Rugby USA.
Come join us, rugby.